everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lysha and I'm the owner of Lysha Be Creative. Today's tutorial is something that I've done before on my channel, but I'm going to be testing out and using brand new paints from ColorShot. So unfortunately, the Walmarts in my area don't sell the ColorShot paints, but I have an amazing friend that was able to send me a few cans to try out, and so I'm going to show you how I use them, what I think of them, and we're actually going to use them for a hydro dip. And I'm going to compare them to what I've previously done on my channel, which is a hydro dip with my Rust-Oleum paints. So you're going to want to make sure that you check out the description box, because that will have all the products that I'm using in today's tutorial listed, as well as any discount codes and links to my social media. So before you leave, give this video though a huge thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and be sure to click that notification bell so you're notified when I upload my videos every Tuesday and Saturday. So let's go ahead and jump right into today's tutorial. Okay, so before I get started, this is actually not usual for me for my channel, but I received this package from Madam Glam, and it is a gel nail kit. So they offered to send me a free kit, and before the pandemic hit, I was someone who used to get my nails done pretty regularly, and then when the pandemic hit, I ended up doing my nails a lot myself. So I'm pretty familiar with doing my nails, but this is actually the first time I've ever done a gel manicure, and I will tell you that this was the easiest process I have ever done. You put one coat of the base coat down, then you do your 2 coats of the gel polish, curing them for about a minute in between, and then you end with the shiny top coat, and you have an absolutely gorgeous manicure that is done within minutes. Like, I couldn't even believe how fast this was, because I'm used to using A&C, which could take me upwards of a couple hours to get done. So I definitely wanted to put this in this video and show you how beautiful my manicure turned out, and have a link and code for you down in the description. And now back to our scheduled tutorial. So as I mentioned, I was actually given these spray paints. I had a friend from Instagram send me some ColorShot spray paints, because unfortunately my Walmarts literally sell none of these. I've looked at my Michaels, which recently started selling them, my Walmarts. No one in my area currently sells these. So I was feeling a little bit lost, in the sense of I was feeling a little bit of left out, if you will, and I really wanted to get my hands on these paints, and thank goodness somebody was willing to send them to me. Thank you so much, Cora, for sending me these paints. I am so excited to be able to use them. They are absolutely awesome and beautiful to use. So I'm going in with 2 colors, and this is not the actual colors of the cup we're going to be using, but this is the first time that I've used these paints. So please don't mind my really crazy looking face. It's very bright outside, as you can tell, and I was trying to make sure that I wasn't going to get spray paint all over myself, and it was a little bit hard to see because it was so bright. But I am going in with a couple of colors just with an ombre. And what I noticed first off is the cans are built differently than my Rust-Oleum cans. They're thinner, and they're much easier to hold, which I absolutely love, because when I am doing prep day and trying to spray paint all my cups white, it gives me a hand cramp to have to do all those cups back to back. It was so easy to hold the can, number one, and it really made it really easy to get this cup spray painted. The other thing is it has a very wide spray. So when you spray the spray paint, you get really amazing coverage, because the spray paint kind of goes in a more wide spray. So you're able to cover more of the cup, which also was a huge plus, and really is helpful when you're trying to get full coverage on your cup without getting any drips and things all over your tumbler. So I still do my short spurts that 8 to 10 inches away, and I did shake my cans for 2 minutes, but literally after I did my ombre, I put this inside and it was literally dry, no lie, in maybe 5 minutes. That's how fast. So now going back to the cup we're actually going to use for today's tutorial. So I have this spray painted cup using the 2 ColorShot sprays, Aromatherapy, which is the purple, and Island Girl, which is that teal blue. And I've just done this on a recently stripped cup. I finally have gotten through my strip pile. I'm so proud to be able to say I have finally officially stripped all the cups I've been holding on to for the last 2 years. And now I'm just kind of reusing them and repurposing them. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of Mod Podge over top of these 2 spray painted colors. I kind of just did a half and half with the 2 colors. Again, I was just as amazed with the first cup that I tried with this cup when I was able to spray paint it. Took me literally 2 minutes to get it fully covered, and it was dry less than 5 minutes, and I was literally astonished. So I'm just going to add a thin coat of Mod Podge here, because we're going to add a little bit of glitter here. So we're using Unicorn Sneeze and Over the Rainbow from 4K Glitter, which is the glitter from Vinyl Gallery. I'll link this down in the description box as always. So I'm going to go in with Unicorn Sneeze first, which is a white sort of opal, and we're just going to do kind of a light dusting all over that cup, and then go in with Over the Rainbow to cover up the entire cup and make sure we get full coverage everywhere else that there may still be Mod Podge exposed and no glitter. So we're just going to do a full coat of glitter here. Of course, I am going to let this completely dry for about an hour or so before I brush off any excess, spray seal, just so that I can make sure I don't transfer any glitter to other cups I'm epoxying, and do 2 coats of epoxy until this cup is smooth. After my 2 coats of epoxy, I'm going to go in and do any necessary sanding, which of course is going to be to pay attention to anything on the top rim as well as the bottom rim. The cup, for the most part, was pretty smooth after the 2 coats of epoxy. Again, we have a pretty fine glitter on here. Even though Unicorn Sneeze is a little bit chunky, it wasn't anything too crazy because we then laid Over the Rainbow over top. And so I really had a really smooth coat after just the 2 coats of epoxy. And so we're just going to really focus on the rims here. A little bit of light sanding I'll have to do along the sides before we go out and do the next step. But I'm just going to use my nail file tool here that I like to use and get my top rim with a nice fine line of stainless steel. And again, that is to make sure that we get the final coats of epoxy to adhere to the outer rim of this cup versus over top. So after I've done the top rim, I'll switch gears and use my 6 Secret sanding block to just do a little bit of light sanding around that bottom edge. We want to make sure we have a nice smooth surface because the next step of this process is going to be to do a hydro dip, and anything that is bumpy is potentially going to be exposed when that paint is laid over top in that hydro dip. So I want to make sure I have a smooth cup and surface to be able to work with before we go into applying our hydro dip. So after I have done my sanding, I'll clean this off with a little bit of 91% rubbing alcohol and a paper towel, and it's time to go outside to hydro dip. All right, so it's time to hydro dip. So these are the colors that I'm using. I'm going to use the exact 2 colors that I used to spray paint my cup originally, plus I'm going to use a clear spray paint from Rust-Oleum just to create a little separation in between the colors as I layer them in my bucket of water here. So this is just literally a bucket of hose water, nothing too crazy. I literally just take a Home Depot bucket outside, fill it up with some water, and then I begin to add my spray paints. So I have done a video on my channel before with hydro dipping over glitter, and I will link that down in the description box as well as somewhere in the video. And so hydro dipping is definitely a trial and error process. I will tell you that it will take you quite a few times to kind of decide how best you're going to do your hydro dips before you really get one that you absolutely love. What I do also want to say too is even if you don't feel like your hydro dip has come out well, I definitely would continue with the process because you're going to see me do a lot of cleaning up after I do my hydro dip, and you can always clean up a little bit of the spray paint that you're not really fond of, you don't really care of in some sections, and just expose that glitter or base coat of your tumbler. So I definitely recommend either doing hydro dips over glitter or doing them over a spray painted and epoxied base so that you can do up any cleaning up of the hydro dip that you're not really fond of. So I've layered my paints, and I always say, if you think you have enough spray paint, do more. I'm then going to take a popsicle stick just to stir up my colors a little bit and get some swirl action happening before I grab my cup. So I like to do a twist motion with my cup. So I dip the edge in, twist it, and then submerge it. And then I kind of clean up the top with my hand to make sure that none of that excess paint gets over the tumbler when I pull it out. So this is the results. We're going to let this dry, and then it's going to be time to get this all cleaned up so it looks nice and pretty. All right, so I am cleaning up using just an old wash towel and some acetone here. And what I'm doing is I'm just picking out any areas that are a little bit cloudy, that are a little bit muddled. I also had some clumps and things that I needed to kind of clean up as well. And so for this part of the hydro dip process, and when you're doing cleaning up, you're really just cleaning up whatever you don't like. I like to leave a lot of the swirl action on there, but I like to remove anything else that just looks a little awkward or looks a little off and expose some of that glitter underneath, just to give the cup kind of a little bit more of a design element, so to speak. So you can clean up as much or as little as you want. You also, if you totally hated the hydro dip, this is the opportunity to clean off all of the paint and go outside and start over. So once you have it cleaned up, I go in with some 91% rubbing alcohol to clean up any of the fogginess, and now it'll be time to do one more coat of epoxy before we go in with our final decals. So as always, you guys know that I grabbed up these decals from Creative Fabrica. I will link both decals to the ghosts that I use, as well as this Creepin' It Real decal that we're going to be using as a water slide, and I will link those down in the description box. So I did do a water slide for the Creepin' It Real image, but I decided to, instead of doing a bleach spot on the cup, just cut the file in a white vinyl to be the base. That way I could put the water slide over top of the white vinyl, which is just a cut file of the original image, so that it would be super vibrant. So completely up to you. You can do sort of this hack and method that I like to do when I don't want to do a bleach spot, or you could easily do a bleach spot and then epoxy, have that glossy surface, and then apply your water slide as your last step. So I'm going to apply that Creepin' It Real right in the center, and then I'm going to take these little cute ghosts that I have cut on some silver holographic vinyl that I grabbed from a vinyl gallery, which I'll of course link down in the description box, and we're just going to put these ghosts kind of all over. So I just grabbed these images because I just thought it would be a super cute but spooky Halloween tumbler, and although I thought that I was going to be done with Halloween, I clearly am not quite yet done with some of the designs that I want to do for this spooky season. So I'm just going to continue to lay down these cute holographic ghosts wherever I feel like I need them to be. And then once I'm done with that, I'll give this a final look, touch up any little light sanding I might need to do, especially around that rim where some of my paint may have gotten over that top rim area. And then we'll be able to kind of get this to the next step. So I'm not going to do a lot of sanding. I really just did the top rim because right after I applied these vinyl decals, I'm going to go in with my water slide. So let's go ahead and get to the water slide portion. So I've already cut my image out of the water slide and submerged it into some lukewarm water. I'm just going to put some water over top of my Creepin' It Real vinyl cut file there, and then we're going to layer the water slide right over top. So I love the really like pastel colors of this Creepin' It Real. I thought it went so well with my cute but spooky Halloween tumbler, and it just seems to be just a perfect match. I absolutely love how this turned out. So you guys have seen me do water slide before, but definitely take your time when you are removing the backing from your water slide. It makes the process that much easier, and the biggest tip I can give you when it comes to doing water slide is make sure that you are sealing properly. I like to use clear gloss spray paint and do about 3 coats of spray paint over that before I go in and cut this to apply it to my cup. I'm going to squeegee out any water or bubbles that may be over top, then take a paper towel and just kind of dry up any of that excess water. Let this fully dry for 30 minutes before we put it on the turner for final coats. So I hope that you guys enjoyed today's tutorial. If you did, definitely be sure to give this video a huge thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye!